Coming up today, North Korea lashes out after Seoul and Washington's decision to deploy the THAAD missile defense system to South Korea. Pyongyang threatens a military response. Looking to set the record straight amid rumors and speculation, President Park Geun-hye says THAAD is a necessary self-defense measure to counter growing military threats from North Korea. First, a convincing win in an upper house election boosts Shinzo Abe's bid to revise Japan's constitution, including removing decades-old limits on the country's military. Stay tuned for these stories and more. Hello, it's noon on Monday, the 11th of July. You're tuned in to our midday newscast here on Arirang TV. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Mark Broom. We are going to begin this Monday at the nation's top office. President Park Geun-hye has laid out why South Korea needs to have the U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD deployed here. Chairing a monthly meeting of her senior secretaries, the president strongly defended last week's decision, saying the system is aimed at protecting South Korea from North Korea's growing missile threats. Let's get the details from our presidential office correspondent Song Ji-son. So Ji-son, can you just walk us through the president's remarks?
Good afternoon, Mark. On Seoul and Washington's decision announced last Friday to deploy THAAD to South Korea, President Park began by saying that it's her responsibility to protect the South Korean people as state leader. She stressed that South Korean people are the main victim of Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs, and leaving those threats as are now is same as putting our people's lives at risk. She reiterated that the high-altitude missile defense system is only for the nation's security and is not aimed at hurting the interests or security of any third country other than North Korea. Calling on the South Korean people to unite against North Korea's provocations, President Park asked for the nation's support. She added that THAAD's location will be selected with the resident safety and health issues in mind, as those living in candidate cities are deeply concerned about the radar's powerful electromagnetic waves, which could be harmful. Marking the 71st anniversary of Korea's independence next month, President Park also announced a special pardon to give hope and another chance to people. She also mentioned her upcoming trip to Mongolia this week to attend the ASEM summit. She said she would seek joint efforts on countering North Korea's nuclear issues and its human rights abuses while trying to market South Korea as a leading open trade nation at a time of growing trade protectionism following Britain's decision to leave the European Union last month. Back to you.
Thank you, Ji-son, for that report. Now staying to the reaction to the THAAD deployment to South Korea. North Korea has denounced the decision to deploy this extremely powerful U.S. missile defense system to the south. It also threatens Seoul and Washington with a military response. Geunhye has the details.
North Korea says it will take physical action against South Korea and the U.S., a warning against the allies' decision to deploy the U.S. terminal high-altitude area defense system in South Korea. According to the state-run Korean Central News Agency Monday, the North's military is ready to strike against Seoul and Washington the moment the two confirm the location of the THAAD system, threatening it'll turn them into a, quote, sea of fire. Seoul's Unification Ministry defended the THAAD deployment Monday, saying it serves to protect South Korean people and property in the face of North Korea's continuing nuclear and missile threats. Seoul's Defense Ministry said that North Korea should first apologize for all of its provocative actions and warned that if Pyongyang continues to ignore the South's warnings, it will face strong consequences from Seoul's military. In Monday's statement, the North said the THAAD deployment is part of Washington's plan to dominate the world. The KCNA statement is Pyongyang's first official reaction since Friday's announcement was made in Seoul, following immediate opposition from China and Russia, which believe THAAD would hurt their own regional strategic interests. South Korea and the U.S. see the system as necessary to better protect South Korea from the North's missile threats. Geunhye, Arirang News.
Now, a U.S. think tank says North Korea's submarine-launched ballistic missile program will still require several years of testing before reaching an actual operational status, it's also been said that the North's ongoing efforts to develop its missile program reflects the regime's plan to try, at least, to neutralize the THAAD system. Kim Mo-kyun tells us more.
In a report written a day after the North tried unsuccessfully to test fire another submarine-launched ballistic missile, U.S.-based North Korea monitoring website 38 North said it's possible Pyongyang will launch the missiles more frequently as it attempts to perfect that technology. The report, written by John Schilling, an aerospace engineer at the Air Force Research Laboratory, said North Korea's increased pace of testing its mid-range Musudan missile means their missile development is not limited only to the SLBM program, and even with frequent testing, more attempts are likely to fail over the next few years. On Saturday, North Korea conducted yet another SLBM test from the eastern port city of Sinpo that broke up or exploded at an altitude of roughly 10,000 meters. The launch came just 24 hours after the U.S. and South Korea confirmed the deployment of THAAD, an advanced missile defense system that could intercept North Korean missiles to South Korea. Because of this, North Korea's latest attempt is seen as part of efforts to overcome and neutralize the powerful defense system. Kim Mo-kyun, Arirang News.
Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has tightened his political grip on the Japanese Diet as his ruling party won big in upper house elections on Sunday, and this provides a huge boost to Abe's drive to amend Japan's pacifist constitution, which would allow Japan war potential capacities. Oh Se-young reports.
Shinzo Abe's Liberal Democratic Party and its junior coalition partner Komeito swept to victory in Sunday's upper house election. This victory strengthens Abe's grip over the Japanese parliament and gives him the mandate he needs to push for a referendum on revising Japan's post-war pacifist constitution. The constitution has banned the country from using offensive military force ever since the end of World War II. Article 9 declares that Japan will forever renounce war and the threat or use of force as the means of settling international disputes. This includes militarization on land, sea and air, as well as maintaining other war potential capacities. Abe and his ruling party aim to amend the post-war constitution and expand Japan's military activities to build up normally functioning forces under the principle of collective defense. To put the decision to a nationwide vote, the pro-amendment faction needs the backing of 2/3 of the representatives in the upper and lower houses of the Diet. While Abe's parliamentary support may bolster the drive for a referendum, there's a strong sense of skepticism among the majority of the Japanese public, who have been staging protests against Abe's plans. Oh Se-young, Arirang News.
Now, on to the latest on the emissions scandal involving Volkswagen. The Korean government is considering a sales suspension and cancellation of authorizations for roughly 70 Volkswagen and Audi models sold in Korea since 2007 that were found to have used forged documents. Kim Min-ji with the details.
Korea's Environment Ministry is currently reviewing the records on roughly 70 Volkswagen and Audi models sold in Korea that were found to have obtained environmental authorizations for fabricated documents since 2007. If that turns out to be true, the authorizations will be cancelled, in addition to recalls and fines for cars sold and sales suspensions for the unsold vehicles. Although it's not yet known how many vehicles might be subject to the punitive measures, it's expected to be somewhere between 100,000 and 150,000, or between 40 to 60% of the 250,000 vehicles sold since 2007. This comes after prosecutors recently confiscated hundreds of vehicles from Audi Volkswagen Korea, with the majority found to have been imported without the proper environmental authorizations. That was part of a broader investigation into the company in the wake of the so-called Dieselgate scandal, in which the German automaker was found to have used a cheat device to manipulate emissions data. Korea's Environment Ministry rejected Volkswagen's plan to recall the vehicles in question for a third time, as Audi Volkswagen Korea did not admit to using a cheat device. Previously, the plans were rejected for a lack of information. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Now, in economic news, prolonged global uncertainties have cast a dark cloud over Korea's industry outlook. The Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry has released a kind of weather chart forecasting the outlook for the second half of the year, as you can see there. The report projects that the shipbuilding industry will be hit hard with figurative torrential rain in the latter half of 2016. There is a gloomy, overcast outlook for Korea's IT and household appliances, automobile, steel and textile industries. This is partly due to global economic uncertainties stemming from Britain's decision to leave the European Union. However, the construction industry is expected to enjoy better weather as the low interest rate has contributed to growing demand for real estate and new home sales. The business outlook for the oil refining industry is also pretty bright as demand for petroleum products steadies due to low oil prices. Now, protesters in the United States are back out on the streets to demand changes to policing after the fatal shootings of 2 black men by police last week. Hwang Ho-jun has this report.
Glass bottles, rocks, fireworks flew as police unleashed smoke to control the crowd. What started out as a peaceful demonstration in St. Paul, Minnesota, quickly grew ugly. The demonstration was one of several that broke out across the United States over the weekend, as hundreds of protesters were arrested and several police officers injured. The protests were held in response to the fatal shooting of Alton Sterling by police in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Philando Castile in St. Paul, Minnesota last week, which reignited anger over the iniquities in policing and the fatal shootings of black men by police over the past 2 years, including Michael Brown, a teenager whose death in the summer of 2014 sparked weeks of protests in Ferguson, Missouri.
I'm in tune with both of these sides, and saying Black Lives Matter isn't saying that they're the only ones that matter. It's saying let's all unite and fight for these people that are, being fought against.
Black Lives Matter has condemned the shooting of 5 police officers in Dallas and called it a tragedy that affected not only Black Americans, but the nation. Protesters at rallies were also careful to distinguish between their feelings about policing and police.
Just because we're Black Lives Matter does not mean we're anti-police, and just because we're against anti-police brutality does not mean there shouldn't have been more lives taken from this.
Meanwhile, the man who killed 5 police officers in Dallas and injured 7 more was reportedly planning an even bigger attack. Speaking on CNN Sunday, Dallas Police Chief David Brown said he was convinced 25-year-old Micah Johnson had wider plans. Brown also said police are trying to find the significance of the letters RB that Johnson had written in his own blood near where he was killed by a remote-controlled bomb detonator that ended both the standoff and his life. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
Now, the curtain has come down on the 2016 European Football Championship in France, and this year's winners were Portugal, who beat the host nation 1-0 after extra time on Sunday to claim their first ever senior international title. Portugal had to overcome the odds after their star man, that man there, Cristiano Ronaldo, was forced out of the game with a knee injury in the first half. The Real Madrid forward attempted twice to run back onto the field, but had to be stretchered off the pitch in floods of tears. There was elation later, though, as Ederer scored the winning goal, a long-range shot with just 11 minutes left on the clock, making Portugal the new champions of Europe. Staying with sports, but a little closer to home, Korean golfer Park Inbee has decided that she will compete in the upcoming Rio Olympics. There had been some question marks over her attendance, as the former world #1 and 7-time major championship winner had been suffering from a series of back and thumb injuries all season. But she has stated via her agency that competing in the Olympics has long been a dream of hers, and she felt confident that her thumb had healed. She will be joined by 3 other female golfers on the Korean team. A nation is allowed up to 4 players if they are within the top 15 of the world rankings, and Korea currently has 6. It's the first time golf is set to appear at the Olympics since 1904. Now, the majority of Korean internet users prefer using their smartphones for self-verification procedures required on many local websites. This is most commonly known as SMS verification, where users creating new online accounts are required to enter their cell phone number on a secure website. The website then texts a unique code which users re-enter on the verification page. The Korea Internet and Security Agency found almost 85% of people use the SMS verification service during 2015, while only 50%, half, used the alternative Internet Personnel Identification Number or IPIN service, which assigns a virtual registration number to individual users. Now, industry officials project that while more advanced self-verification technologies are coming down the line, SMS technology will remain popular for many years due to its accessibility and relative security. The city of Seoul has released 23,000 photos of Seoul that show changes in the city over the past 2 decades. The photos, which were taken at several cultural and historical locations every 5 years from 1995 to 2015, capture the rapid changes over that period. The list of sites is categorized by time, theme and location and includes Gwanghwamun Plaza, Yeouido Park and Cheonggyecheon Stream, as well as cultural heritage sites like Namdaemun Gate. The photos can also be downloaded from the Seoul Research Data Service website. You can see the website address there and are available for use as long as the images are attributed to the city of Seoul. Well, that's all we have for now on this Monday afternoon here in Seoul. Have a great day. Goodbye.